nya, nya, nya. Ba, ba, Babue, Zimbabwe. The broken Bunsen burner burns so bright. South,
Jamie.
Southeast Asian Peninsula.
Hey, Jamie?
Yes?
I think the only line we need from you today is drivers who switch to progressive could save big.
Cool. I just gotta finish my warm-ups. Foul, foul, throw in the towel. History.
Switch to Progressive today.
Santa ski slalom in a salmon skin suit.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Nerds! NerdWallet presents Money Questions, the lightning round. Here we go, Carol. How can people compare the best credit cards?
Turn to the nerds.
Should you pay off debt or save for retirement?
Turn to the nerds.
One more. Should I listen to my father-in-law's advice on mortgage lenders?
Turn to the nerds.
You win!
Woo!
Confetti is literally falling from the sky!
I'm gonna put my winnings in a 2-year CD.
That would be prudent, Carol.
From helpful tools to expert guidance, for all your money questions, turn to the nerds at nerdwallet.com. NMLS ID number 1617539.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for downloading Sporgy for free on iTunes or from ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate Sporgy 5 stars on iTunes and help to tell others about Sporgy by leaving a comment. Thank you for following Sporgy on Twitter at Sporgy Podcast and on Instagram at Sporgy_podcast. Please follow Sporgy on Facebook to like and share Sporgy. You can also email the show. The address is sporgy at ChristopherMedia.net. If you would like to donate to Sporgy, you can click on the PayPal button at ChristopherMedia.net. If you use Amazon.com, please click and bookmark the Amazon link at ChristopherMedia.net. It will not cost you any extra money, and you will help to support Sporgy. If you are looking to launch your own website, please click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media uses HostGator to host all of the shows produced by the Christopher Media Network. When you click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net and sign up for HostGator, you're helping to support Sporgy. We know that choosing the perfect gift for a man is a difficult task, but not anymore. TheBroBasket.com is here to help. We all know men are hard to shop for, but what do guys actually like? Their favorite alcohol, that's what. It could be craft beer, wine, whiskey, scotch, or tequila. TheBroBasket.com will put it in a gift basket full of their favorite gear and goodies. You can customize your own Bro Basket or choose from a variety of different Bro Baskets, like the Ultimate Import Sampler, the Jack and Coke gift set, or the Junior Executive gift basket. Boozeless, but still cool, Bro Baskets are also available. TheBroBasket.com gives you many shipping options to choose from, including rush delivery and Saturdays. 21 and over, please. State and local laws apply. Beer, wine, and liquor are not available for shipping in all states. You can help to support Christopher Media by clicking through the BroBasket.com banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Men used to be hard to shop for. TheBroBasket.com.
Welcome to Sporgy, the show that gives you half-ass sports fans giving their half-ass opinions. And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome to Sporgy number 40. Mike Allstott. They're 11. Am I wrong on that one?
I got the number 40 here, guys, and we could just stop talking about it after this. Pat, tell me.
I ain't gonna fucking stop talking about this. That shit don't fly with me, man. Don't give me that fucking America's the great, we're gonna stick a boot in our ass fucking bullshit with me.
Dude, that's a mic drop moment.
No, it ain't. The government fucked that over that entire family. Watch the documentary about that.
I have.
Yeah.
That's why he is
his brother
the number
and his
40.
family get up there and say, oh, this is nice, but it's a bunch of bullshit. So there you go.
All right. So, bunch of shit going on, of course. Selection Sunday, this past Sunday. We've all picked our brackets. Probably into that. I mean, brackets are really, that's going to be next week, right? After things have started happening. I mean, I guess before the show goes out, we can each throw out our final four real quick. But,
well, I mean, I finished my bracket last night, and I never filled one out before, and it looks just like you'd figure someone who's never filled one out before. After I filled it out and finalized it, I went and looked up everything you're not supposed to do, and I did that. So, but, you know, look at the field where my fuck's growing. See, it lies barren. I just don't give a shit, so.
Well, I mean, I can tell you personally, my three of my final fours were number one seeds, so, I mean, I really didn't go out on any limbs, except maybe in the earlier rounds, as far as picking some spoilers. But, yeah. Should we? What should we start with, guys? I mean, it's. I know we try to save it for the end.
I mean, let's save football till the end because we can go the longest on that. This story just hit the news about 10 hours ago. It's just a little side note in the hockey world, which we've actually talked about, or we talked about it before you got here when we found out that Datsuk wasn't coming back to the Red Wings, but he was going to go play over in Russia. Basically, the gist of the story is Detroit traded Thomas Yurko to Chicago. Now, Yurko was their second-round pick in the 2011 draft. He played 16 games this year, and he had no points, no assists, no nothing. So he got traded. Well, he goes to Chicago, and they ask him, okay, so, what's your feelings about now playing in Chicago versus playing in Detroit? And he come out with the biggest difference is that we're told to make plays instead of just making safe plays and chipping it in and playing safely. Here you actually should create something if you want to stick in this lineup because there are so many creative players. And the reason that's interesting is because when they asked Datsuk, one of the reasons he was leaving the NHL and going back to Russia to play is he said the lack of creativity in plays here in the NHL. And it seems to me that now you have Thomas Yurko saying the same thing. And they were both, I think Datsuk was probably trying to be polite to his going to be former team on the way out the door. Because this really seems to me like this is a organizational problem.
As I say, both of those comments you just made don't bode too well for Mr. Blashill.
Well, and one of the things is, okay, Blashill, he coached the minor league team for the Red Wings, the Grand Rapids Griffins, and they did have success. They won, I think it's the Calder Cup. They won their version of the Stanley Cup. But it's minor league teams. You can't just play. You can't take a style of play from the minor leagues and move it to the majors and expect it to work with zero adjustments.
And sometimes when you're in these lesser leagues, the training leagues, whatever you want to call them, sometimes your style does not translate well to the pros. Nick Saban. I mean, you could have some of that going on too. It's a different world, minor league hockey.
Well, I think it's very interesting because we're sitting here and we've talked about it. The Hockey News itself has talked about it now in an article that we talked about a couple weeks ago about the lack of excitement in the game. You have, at least on paper, some of the most talented people that's ever played the game, yet everything the NHL wants out of them, they're not getting. Now, for whatever reason, like we talked about, they're going to try to implement rule changes. They're going to, basically try to force the issue to open the game up. Seems to me that this is almost a coaching situation rather than a rule situation. Because another thing is, if you keep switching rules every 5 to 7 to 10 years or whatever it is, that means that these players who have adjusted to the rules now have to make another adjustment. Players coming up have to make the adjustment. And then also all the coaching styles have to be adjusted for it. And some rules, it's no big deal. Other rules, it is a big deal. Going from a 5-on-5 overtime to a 3-on-3 overtime, it's a pretty big fucking deal. Taking a 2-line pass out, that's a big deal. No touch icing, that's a big deal. Along with, if you ice the puck, you don't get a line change during that break. I mean, that can affect you, big time, especially in the playoffs in hockey, because that's where matchups become really important. That's how come having the last line change is so important to coaches, because they want to get the players they want matched up against the other team's line out there. But yeah, I'm just thinking that this is no longer necessarily a Datsuk was unhappy here, Yurko unhappy here. This sounds like this is a case of a coach who is way above his pay grade. And, I mean, what has he done since Babcock's left? I mean, nothing.
Ran the Red Wings out of the playoffs?
Exactly. You know, and I know a lot of people can point to a lot of things. Oh, Ken Holland, you know, the end of the streak was inevitable. And all that is true, yes. But this streak was never in danger like it was once since Scotty Bowman left until Blashill took over.
Yeah, I remember last year it was skin of their teeth. I mean, and it was first round fodder, and then this year, unless a goddamn miracle happens, I mean, are they still mathematically in it? Or are they mathematically now eliminated?
They're just out of it. There's just no way they're going to come back and get in it.
Because they're sub 500, right? Or if not, they're pretty damn close to just 500.
Let's see here. They are, 26-30 with 11 overtime losses.
To quote Dave Chappelle, you're fucking done, son. Like, unless you win out, which will not happen, and somebody loses out, which will not happen, have a nice fucking day. Because you got what, a month left in the regular season? Because I don't my fantasy hockey regular season just ended, so that it usually means in fantasy you got about a month. When the playoffs start in any fantasy league, you got about a month left in the season. So
yeah, they played 67 games, so you know there's 82 games. Do the math.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's unless somebody just collapses monumentally, and they all of a sudden go on a monumental win streak. I mean, it's over. And yeah, I think if I'm Ken Holland, it's just time to reassess where you're at, figure out where you want to go, and figure out how to get there. And Jeff Blashill is probably not the guy to get you there.
And I mean, to take it even further, if I don't know what member of the Ilitch family, since Mike Ilitch died, it falls to run the Red Wings, to be the person that Holland answers to, in other words. But it might be time to get rid of Holland. I mean, at this point, are you looking at a total rebuild? Because if you are, it seems to me now's the time to throw as much money as you can towards a GM who has proven that he can work within the rules of the salary cap and have success. And I know a lot of people here are screaming for Stevie Yzerman to come home. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I mean, if you can throw enough money at him to get him to come up here, I think you have to do it.
I don't think he's leaving Tampa Bay, man. He's in a good situation.
I mean, I agree with you, but I mean, ultimately, he will buy them time for a rebuild. Fans will be patient with him as a GM more so than a GM that comes out of, you know, another team or a GM that's been given his first shot.
He'd get the hometown learning curve. He'd get what Alan Trammell got for the season.
And so like I said, they're going into a new venue. They're out of the playoffs for the first time in some people's lives. You know, most people's fucking memories. At least people our age is what I'm getting at. They really have a clusterfuck at goalie going on here. You got, you know, 3 goalies. Howard's hurt. I know Howard's going to be all right. No, he's not. You know, Mrazek, he looked like a fucking world beater last season. He's not this season. Starting to show cracks in his armor. Is it because the league's figured him out? Is it because he was a one-year wonder? A Tim Thomas from back in the day who you know, backstopped the Bruins to a fucking improbable run in the mid-'90s and then did nothing afterwards? I mean, what is he? You don't know what he has. And on top of that, you got the expansion draft coming. And you can only protect so many people. So, I mean, shit's going to get real fast here in the hockey world. And unfortunately, this is not the time for the Red Wings, in my opinion, to with blind faith, hang on to what got them 25 years of success. But that's success that's in the past. It's not success for today. It's a completely different league than 10 years ago, let alone 25 years ago. I mean, when you say 25 years, that's a quarter of a century ago. That's 1/4 of 100 years ago. All right. This is not the same fucking game, not the same league, not the same anything as it was then. And you still have a lot of people with the mentality of, well, we have to act like, let's just throw money at free agents and get them here. Once again, it's not 10 years ago. All right. This isn't a destination for free agents anymore. They rather go other places. All right. And as much as Babcock was a ball buster in the locker room as far as being a coach, players who've never won a championship would rather deal with a ball busting coach and have a better shot at a championship than deal with a fucking player-friendly minor league coach who's never done anything now that he's up in the fucking NHL.
Hey, man, they can talk shit about Babcock all they want. He got him 1 cup, almost got him 2. So, I mean, the results speak for themselves.
Right, and it's not just that Blashill lost and into the streak. You're right, Rich. It was inevitable. It was how he lost. He lost the good players. He lost the fan base, and he missed the playoffs. And then your question about the goalie, a lot of that has to do with the defense and the coaching of them. So, I mean, there's a lot that lays at the feet of the coach, bro.
Definitely. And like I said, just because you had success with the Grand Rapids Griffins doesn't mean it's going to translate automatically to success with the Red Wings. And I think he's proven it. And it's definitely time for him to go. I'm saying if Ken Holland's seat isn't so fucking hot that he's standing up 99% of the time, then there's something really wrong in that organization. And with the success they've had and the success the Ilitch family's had since they bought that organization, because for the most part, if you really think about it, they bought it, and yeah, there was a 5-6 year period of stumbling and building it up, but then that playoff streak started, and they've been dominant ever since. When people talk about the best sports franchises of the last 25 years, the Red Wings are always mentioned as long as the NHL is included in that conversation. Always, without exception. And to me, if that's the type of owners the Ilitches are, that they demand excellence, then they're not going to sit by and let this shit just fucking slide, even if Mike Ilitch isn't there anymore. Now, I mean, I don't know. This is just pure speculation and reckless on my end. But, I mean, there is also this. Mike Ilitch is gone. They own the Tigers. They own the Red Wings. They own the Little Caesars. Their family has its fingers in a lot of business places. Red Wings might end up being sold at some point. Who knows? And if that happens, all bets are off. Because it's all
dude. That made them millionaires.
Well, for what?
I guess at some point
for what he bought
yourself, but
for what he bought it for and what it was worth when he died, yeah. I mean, those are fucking worlds apart, man. That's like that's stereotypical American dream type shit.
I think maybe the Tigers would go. I definitely think the Tigers would go before the Red Wings.
No way. I can tell you that guy played minor league ball for the Tigers. If they're gonna sell one of them, I bet you Wings go first. Like that guy was almost just to that family. They love the Tigers. I mean, so I don't know.
That's why I said reckless speculation on my part. If one of them has to go, I'm with Chris. Yeah, I think it would be the Red Wings before the Tigers. But yeah,
but and those sports teams have enabled that family to mint their own money. I don't think they're going anywhere.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but we're to the point where we don't know what we're going to have. Mr. I is gone, and all I can do is hope that if they do retain ownership of these teams, that the same drive to win and drive to be successful is there, and they don't turn into the Fords Part 2, to where, well, hey, as long as we're making money, we're happy. Because if that happens, you're going to have some very unhappy fans in the city of Detroit, because they're not going to have any team to hang their hat on except for the fucking Pistons.
Well, I think the saving grace here is I don't think Mike Ilitch himself has been in control of this for a long time, and it seems like they still have the itch to win. So, in both places.
Well, I mean, the last time I really heard of Mike Ilitch stepping in and basically flexing his nuts, going, "I don't give a shit. I'm the owner. I'm making this move," was with Prince Fielder. And that was 2012. I can't really think of a move since then where he stepped in and basically just said, "You know what? Yeah, you're my GM Holland or you're my GM Dombrowski, but I'm going to make this move because I think this is our best chance to win."
That might have been the move where the people in the front offices were like, "Can we keep this guy busy? Keep him away from here." You know, might have been the move that broke the straw broke the camel's back. Like, I mean, there are 80. He's throwing bags of money at people we don't need. Fucking, you know, let's schedule craft time or something for him during the day. Let's keep him out of the office. There are stories that that was not a first time thing, that he had done that with players about coming to the Red Wings. It's just, it was the first time it was on Front Street like it was. I mean, because if you're a player and you're talking to Ken Holland and you're kind of on the fence about coming to Detroit or someplace else, and Mike Ilitch gets on the phone and starts talking to you personally, or better yet, flies you in on a private jet, sets you down, and starts flashing all that hardware that they've won in front of you, that's some pretty persuasive, argument, right? That's a pretty persuasive argument right there before he even opens his mouth. And he was a successful businessman, so he knew how to conduct himself and sell his organization to people. So, I mean, like I said, I've heard stories. I'm not going to go into them in detail because I don't know if they're true or not, but I've heard stories that had happened before with high-profile free agents in the NHL and the Red Wings. So, either way, I think the most interesting thing about this story is the lack of creativity in the NHL. And we're spearheading it with using the Red Wings as the example here, because now we've had two players who have left the Red Wings and have said the same thing basically. Like I said, Datsuk was a little bit more. He was a little bit more politic in how he put it, and whereas Jurko was a little bit more cavalier. But ultimately, they're saying the same thing. We can't go out there and be the players we need to be when our hands are tied. And I mean, it's just like in baseball, the resistance, is to sabermetrics and things like how Joel Madden manages with the shift and stuff like that. Like, he's not, there's resistance to change in sports big time. It's only been probably in recent memory that the leagues have become copycat leagues, like the NFL for like the minute when the Wildcat was the new hotness and shit, that everybody would jump on it. Because for years and years and years and years, it was, Lombardi, and that was your template. That was how you were supposed to coach. Pound the ball, blah blah blah. Now it's a passing league. Now the game's wide open compared to what it used to be. And the game changes a lot quicker. And I would say football's done a better job of adapting to what the fans expect from it than any other sport. And what's the number one sport in the country? Football.
So, yeah. But, yeah, it's interesting to see where this is going to go. And I think it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Red Wings. And not just the Red Wings, but, I mean, it's just for the NHL, it's going to be an interesting offseason with the Golden Knights out there in Vegas, with the rule changes that certain people are in the NHL want. And, yeah, it could be a completely different looking landscape that we start the season next year. So, and Earl, I know you had brought up the story about.
I like the fact that you started with the NHL, Rich, because something happened Sunday in NASCAR. and everybody's trying to say that NASCAR is trying to be like the NHL. A very well-known, very popular driver named Kyle Busch. You might recognize the last name because Kurt Busch won the Daytona 500 for the first time.
Yeah, I know who Kyle Busch is.
Right, he drives the Candy M&M car. He got bumped and turned sideways and taken out at the final laps of the race. And he decides, well, I'm going to go to Joey Logano's pit and start throwing haymakers. He come out, and it looked like he got his ass beat by 3 guys. He didn't even touch Joey Logano. But that's something that's happened throughout NASCAR's history, is drivers fighting after they wrecked each other. But like I showed you guys in the private chat, Dale Earnhardt Sr. never did that. That's why he was called the Intimidator. He would get you out on that road, out on the track, and spin you out, get you loose, put you in the wall. You're done. So one person you never wanted to bump too hard or try to take out was Dale Earnhardt, because he'll take it. He'll lose a race and his car will be all banged up and everything. But for the next 2-3 races, you ain't even finishing. You better just put a DNF and not even show up. And it's just really interesting that they tried to call it NHL. And I'm like, it was one fight, and he didn't even do nothing. Went in there, swung, missed, hit his head on the fucking pavement.
Well, that's because NHL is the only really major sport outside of a combat sport where they allow fighting. It's like when someone sees a young black kid playing guitar these days and they go, oh, he reminds us of Jimi Hendrix. He's black and he plays guitar. That's the only thing he's like Jimi Hendrix. And I'm talking about like Gary Clark Jr. being compared to Jimi Hendrix. I'm like, no, sorry. They're black and they play guitar. That's it. I mean, so I kind of understand the media. I understand the media doing that also because maybe I'm a little bit sensitive and I got some rabbit ears for this subject, but the NHL and the fact that they still allow fighting likes to be used as the butt of jokes because people who don't know hockey, true hockey, real hockey, tend to think hockey's like, a slap shot, like still to this day. And that's just that's Hollywood's version of hockey. It's like saying
it'd be better if it was.
You can make that argument. But I mean, that's like saying if you watch the Mighty Ducks that you think you can go out and coach a hockey team. Okay, you try that flying V shit and see how far you get. Okay. So.
I don't know. The knuckle puck. I'm kind of a fan. Just saying.
Yeah. No,
but I mean, there's been many times throughout NASCAR's history that drivers have fought, but what made this such a big deal in the sports world, outside of the 4-letter network, is if you watch the race, and some people I'm sure have, but the funny part is Kyle tried to spin out Joey Logano a couple of times. He was trying to own the track, so to speak, and he failed miserably. And he just tried to make it look like it was all Joey Logano, and it wasn't. And they come off the turn this last time, and Kyle Busch drives towards the apron. And if anybody knows about NASCAR, I don't know if you guys do or not, but once you go past the apron, it's very hard to control your car. Well, Joey Logano was below Kyle Busch and clearly had the right-of-way, but pushed him to the apron. And when they came back up, Joey Logano just tapped his rear bumper and sent him spinning. He didn't crash into a wall and no injury or nothing. He just took his car out. And Kyle Busch got out butthurt and went over to his pit afterwards. And it was like, dude, you've been trying to wreck him all race. You have zero reason to go over there because turnabout is fair play. And it was just funny that they said that it was NHL. I was like, not even close. I mean, that was the failure on ice if it was anything.
I feel like Tracy Morgan in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back right now. I know what the fuck you just said, but you're special.
You guys got to watch a race. Grab some beer and watch a race. We'll Skype it.
Dude, I worked in New York for 2 years. I've seen plenty of cars driving. I'm good.
Go out on 696 one time.
I live in the Metro Detroit area. I have several times. But so we talked about NASCAR, talked about hockey. What else we got, guys? Before we get into just whatever the hell free agency has been in the NFL.
Tebow might be making his appearance in spring training.
Who?
Tim Tebow.
Oh, whatever. Get the fuck out of here. Like,
dude, he has made his appearance. He went 0 for 4, and he's getting a standing ovation. For what? What has this man ever done besides say he's a Christian to earn this type of fucking? And really, is that how? Okay, let me speak to my Christ-loving brothers and sisters that listen to us. I know there's one or two of you out there. At least give it lip service. Are you really that starved for a fucking quote-unquote role model in the sports world that you're going to take this asexual steroid fucking allegedly pumping just nothing of a fucking of a athlete and pump him up no matter what he does? Yes, he was a great college football coach. Quarterback. That doesn't always translate to the pros. Obviously, it didn't. He might have had a career if he'd actually moved to a different position, but he didn't want to. All right? So now he goes back and he starts to play at almost 30 years old, a sport he hasn't played since, what, high school? And he hasn't done shit. And his jerseys are outselling people like Curtis Granderson, people who actually earned the position they have on that team, who've played in World Series, who've won World Series. Really?
Rich, I'll take your question one further. The same question to you, New York Mets organization, New York Mets fans. You are 2 years out of being in the World Series. Why the fuck do you need to sign this clown for the media circus? Do you not have that much faith in your team? Do you suck that bad? Is the reputation of the Mets just too much to overcome? Like I said, 2 years ago, you're in the World Series. Why did you shit the bed that bad? It's rhetorical, but
yeah, but I mean, why not though, Chris? I mean, somebody was going to sign him and get that press. Why not it be them?
And that's okay, but that's the problem. When I lived in New York, that's always been the Mets' problem. The Mets are perpetually little brother, and the Mets are always going, "Look at us, look at us, look at us," and that's what they're doing. And here's the thing. It's like someone who walks around talking about how tough they are and how much they don't care what people think. Real rugged individuals don't need to tell you that they're a rugged individual. Okay, people who deserve the spotlight don't jump up and down and scream, "Put the spotlight on me." All right? They're competing with arguably the most storied franchise in all of American sports in all of history. All right, since we started keeping recorded history of our sports in this country, it's the New York Yankees above everybody else. Championships, all of it. And they're competing with them right in their backyard. And instead of doing it with like, hey, look, we're not the Yankees, but we haven't been around like, as long as the Yankees have. We don't have the history the Yankees have. No, they take the fucking big top, 3-ring circus attempt of let's sign Tebow and put him out there. And watch him go 0 for 8, and people still stand up and stomp their feet like he's the second coming of fucking Babe Ruth or something. And I don't get it.
Babe Ruth didn't go 0 for 4 ever. Probably in spring training. Well, spring training might not have even been a thing when he played. But
let me ask you this: does he remind you a little bit of Michael Jordan?
No, Michael Jordan was at least good at one sport.
Outside of college, yes. Yes, Michael Jordan was arguably the best, or yes, arguably the best ever, or without an argument, best of his generation at one sport he chose to play.
What I'm asking you is the situation with baseball, because he was the man, he is the man, he'll always be the man. That being said, in baseball, it was terrible. It was worse than that.
Once again, it's like the only reason I'd be reminded of Jordan because it's an athlete who's out there who's getting a shot based on name recognition. That's the only way he reminds me of Jordan playing baseball. That's
what I'm asking you.
Well, in that case, then I guess him and Jordan, then they're basically pissing in the same fucking toilet right there.
Yeah, but didn't Jordan at least end up taking a few pitches in the show? Tebow's not even going to get even close to the show.
No, Jordan didn't make it out of the minors.
He didn't make it out of spring training.
Yeah, he rode
where I saw him.
He rode the bus. Terry Francona was his fucking manager. And he actually played with a lot of guys that made it to the show, but no. He never took a at bat or even had a cup of coffee in the Chicago White Sox clubhouse. I mean, they pretty much knew that was. I don't want to get down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories, but they pretty much knew that was a 1-year thing, and then he was gone one way or the other, whether it was back to basketball or on to whatever else life held for him.
His unofficial suspension?
Yeah. I mean, come on, dude. That was just that was it was a nice news story. It kept him in the spotlight, but I mean, ultimately, it was an ego stroke on his part. I mean, he could say, "Well, I did it for my dad," all he wants, and people who are prone to that type of sentimentality, and go all blubber over romantic comedies and cry over shit like that, are going to buy into it and love it. I'm just not one of those people, So I just looked at it like, really? You're just pissing away a fucking roster spot on someone who could actually maybe make it in the majors? And that's the same way I look at Tim Tebow. If this is an attention grab, this is a problem the Mets have. And the Mets need to fucking get over their inferiority complex to where they think they need to have a 3-ring circus in their fucking spring training to get to compete with, the Yankees. I don't see it as anything else.
Well, I think it's the new culture we live in, Rich, also. Because they do it in baseball, basketball, hockey, with the All-Star games. The fans, quote-unquote, vote for, this silly, no way he should be an All-Star player in the All-Star games. And it's the same thing with Tim Tebow in baseball. There's no fucking way he should be on a Major League Baseball field. But the fans are going to be like, "Ooh, you're stuck now. You gave us our shot. We're taking it and running."
Yeah, but you can make an argument that the All-Star games are ultimately an exhibition game for the fans. So it makes more sense for them to put whoever they want to put in there by hook or by crook. This is not he's taken up a spot from a player who has, since the age of, let's just say probably 10, been fighting and clawing to get to the spot he's at. And he's given it because it's going to put a couple more asses in the seats. I mean, it's spring training, and seeing, standing ovations for the guy who can't even go to the right warm-up circle. Like that's how out of it he is on a baseball field, guys. Seriously, put any of us in that situation. I think we'd know what warm-up, where we're supposed to warm up when we're on deck.
Generally the one in front of your dugout.
It's kind of a big hint.
Yeah. I mean, they could teach 5-year-olds to do it. Come on, Tebow.
I mean, it's just, it's the Mets wanting attention. Congratulations, they got it. But no one's talking about you in a good light. So, I mean, it really is I guess the Mets, the brass in the office really do look at it as there's no such thing as bad publicity. It's the only thing I could think of, because I'd be embarrassed if I was part of the Mets organization. I'd say, this is a joke. Get this asshole off the field. Seriously. This ain't Major League, right? Get this fucker out of here. This ain't funny. But
Gatorade. Is it? In you?
In you?
It's ever since we talked about Michael Jordan, I can't get that out of my head.
All right, well, before we get to the clusterfuck of the NFL fucking free agency here, what did you want to talk about regarding the 76ers, Earl?
I don't think it was the 76ers, boss. It was the Warriors.
Who was it?
It's just a quick side note to Jerome Iguodala saying the N-word repeatedly on national TV.
Dude, this is not a story.
Hang on.
I'll let you go.
It's my rant. Rich had a couple rants last week. This is my rant. This guy gets on national TV, says the N-word, calls his coach a master, like, a slave mentality type thing, and he gets a slap on the wrist, told it was an inside joke in the locker room, and a $10,000 fine now. And if I remember correctly, when President Trump got elected, he made a comment and said, hey, it's locker room talk. We don't talk like that in our locker room. No, you're talking about the N-word and slave and plantations. And if you guys will remember back, if our listeners remember back, we talked about an MSU student who got his girlfriend cheated on with a black guy, called him the N-word.
Who was white? There's where that ends.
He was white. And called him the N-word out of frustration and pain and hurt. And this kid has to give up his college career at MSU and move, and how terrible of a person he is. But a pro basketball player can do it on national TV and everybody's okay with it because he's black. From now on, I don't want anybody saying anything to me about any word in the frickin' English language that's off limits to white, black, Mexican, Asian. If you listen to me and you talk to me and you have a problem with what I say, look in the fucking mirror because you've said it before. And I don't do double standards. And I don't do double standards. So if it's good for the goose, it's good for the fucking gander. Get over it. All right.
Dude, you're going to have a long life if you're going to go through. It's your prerogative, man. But I mean, it's not the world we live in, Earl. It's just not.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. Iguodala's a pro, for starters. And number two, you could argue that this kid from Michigan State probably learned a good lesson about self-control because he fucked his whole – now, granted, what happened to him was shitty, but he fucked his whole future up because generally over self-control. And number three, he's white. It's just how it is, man. White people cannot say that word ever.
Well,
even if you are quoting rap songs, you cannot use that word.
But that's your stance. My stance is if they can say it, damn it, I can say it. If I get a need or a bug up my ass, or if I'm addressing a friend of mine or what have you, and I say that word, then that's what I say. If somebody's got a problem with it, then they shouldn't have started that shit.
I'm gonna wish you luck in life, dude. Because that's gonna be rough for you.
Well, okay. All right. First of all, I don't know where I got the 76ers from, but I have actually read up on this story.
He used to be on the 76ers.
Okay, maybe that's where I don't understand why that would even be mentioned. So maybe I recognized his name and subconsciously threw it in there. Anyways, I've actually read up on this story today, and him and Steve Kerr have come out and both said, look, unless you know this guy and his type of, he's really cryptic in how he talks. He's got a really fucking strange sense of humor. And unless you know him, sometimes it's going to come off as like the whole master thing. Him and his coach both said he wasn't talking about his coach. He wasn't talking about his general manager. He wasn't talking about the team owner. In fact, basically it's been heavily implied he was talking about the press. And on top of that, how do you pronounce his last name? Iguodala. Okay, he's come out and said that he's fucking with the press, and he's been doing it his entire career, and he likes doing it to them. So that part of the story seems to me like it's a non-issue. It's a case of he's out there and he's basically throwing fucking bait cocky out for the fucking press to gobble up. Now, the fact that he's out there, saying the word nigger on the court, it happens in football, basketball, baseball. It happens, guys. There was a story a couple of years ago, local story, about two players who went to college together, came up through college, and they both ended up on the Detroit Lions. One was white, one was black. That word was used between those two constantly, to the point where a black reporter here in Detroit flipped out during a practice when he heard them using it towards each other, but he only flipped out because the white guy used it towards the black guy. And then when he pulled the black guy aside and said, hey, brother, how you going to let this white boy talk to you like that? He goes, that ain't a white boy, that's my brother. And the whole story became, is that word acceptable to use between friends? Well, I've had friends that are black that use that word with me, and I use that word with them, and they know the intent that I'm using that word, and it's fine. Now, does that mean we go out in public? I'm out there hollering it at them? No, because that could start a lot of fucking problems. Does that mean I go up to every black person I see, and just start throwing that shit around loosey-goosey? No. I don't like fucking being in fights left and right.
Yeah.
I'm an old
what
man.
Up? Some black person you don't know said it's okay I use this word. No, we're good. No, that's not a conversation that ever happened.
I mean, no matter the thoughts on throwing around that word vary so much, and it's so dependent upon the individual saying it and the individual hearing it and the context. Because to some people, it's unacceptable for anyone to say it. And for some people, it's acceptable for some people to say it, not other people. And then for some people, it's like, look, as long as you ain't calling me a nigger, I don't care. Use the word. All right? And then it gets into the whole pronunciation thing. Don't be coming at me with that hard ER. You better put an A on the end of that shit. It's one of those things that how do I explain this? In polite society, we have an unwritten contract that we don't use certain words and flaunt the use of those words out in everyday life. Okay? And you could pretty much chalk it up. I mean, of course, the George Carlin bit about, the 7 words you can't say on television, that's changed over the years. But, I mean, you don't turn on NBC and hear him saying fuck or motherfucker or cunt or cocksucker. That shit, damn, hell, ass, dick, tits. I mean, that's about as raw as you're going to get on broadcast television. You go to cable TV, that's not paced. It's not like HBO Showtime, but like FX or AMC. You get a little bit more raw. Excuse me. Then you go to a Showtime HBO channel, and it's a free for all. It's whatever the fuck they want to say. In fact, you can make an argument. There's whole shows on HBO who became notorious just because of the use of the word cocksucker. Deadwood comes to mind right off the top of my head.
There's a Showtime series called Bullshit with Penn and Teller.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a personal issue, and a lot of people don't like that I see it that way, and that's fine. I don't really give a fuck. All right? If I have friends who use that word towards me, and they use it as a term of endearment comes off as kind of foo-foo, but I guess we'll go ahead and go with that. All right? I take it as such. All right? I've also been called it in a derogatory way. And usually the first thing I respond with is, okay, so now you're not only stupid, but you're colorblind. All right, good. Of course, that usually ends up, that's the type of conversation I'm having before someone starts swinging to somebody else. And that's been a lot of years since I've had conversations like that. But I mean, look, he's a black athlete. He's going to use the word. You can get as offended as you want because in polite society, it's unacceptable for white people to use the word as it is for black people to use the word. But the truth is, you go to some bougie sedity committee motherfuckers in the black community, it ain't acceptable for him to use that word around them either. That word's just not acceptable, period. But that's a group that doesn't get talked about when this type of shit comes up.
See, my thing is, and my only thing is, I don't care about the word. I've used the word. I'll use the word when I want to. That's not my issue. My issue is I'm just calling out the press and society as a whole that a kid had to leave college because in a moment of haste and hurt.
He used it in a derogatory phrase. That's why. You could argue that Andre Iguodala is using it colloquially. He's using it as a term of endearment. The guy in Michigan State used it derogatorily. He used it how you're not supposed to use it. I don't see that as a double standard at all.
How is he going to... I'm not giving Iguodala a pass. He's talking about plantation-style living.
So that you can't give gangster rap a pass. You can't give any trash talking done on the court, done on the field a pass. If you can't give that a pass, you can't give anything a pass, Earl.
Okay, but the gangster rap, the things on the court and the field, okay, are causing nobody any harm.
Yeah.
Nobody. And it's not being reported on like a big thing. Okay? He goes on national TV on an interview, uses it twice, and talks about it in a plantation-style manner.
But do
and
you get that
everybody's
he
just
was
like,
who did that
that's his
hurt?
personality. That's just who he is.
Do you get
the
that
kid
he
uses it at the time of being hurt? Okay, it cost him his college career at MSU, and everybody's like, well, he shouldn't have called him that. He should have called him something else. No, he shouldn't have.
Do that.
Okay,
Well,
Earl,
whatever.
hold on a
Yeah, you
sec. Hold
can.
on a sec. Hold on a sec. Do you understand that he was using that as a way? The plantation, the whole reason he was using that the way he was fucking with the press.
No, I got
the same
it, Rich,
people, the
but
same
here's
people
the
that made
thing.
it a big story, so they proved his point for him.
No, I got it. I got it all. I got all that. But I'm not giving him a pass when he does it in an interview, says it twice in a plantation-style meeting, and yet a kid does it after being hurt and it cost him his college career. No, I can't do that.
Because Iguodala wasn't trying to hurt anybody's feelings. The kid was. That's the thing. It was used in a hateful way. Iguodala did not use it in a hateful way. Like that's
a lot of
there's the
people
disconnect,
see,
man.
A lot of people see using that word as in a plantation.
Like put it this way: if he says it before he punches this guy for fucking his girlfriend, that's now a hate crime. Nothing. You could not put in any variable in what Iguodala said and make it a hate crime.
I got you there. You got a good point.
But anyway,
Well,
so
let's can one thing we can all agree on is that no matter what polite society, no matter what politically correct society, no matter what Disney-owned ESPN will want to push, is that as long as there are players on the field, on the hardwood, this word's going to be used between them. And people just need to get the fuck over it. It's like it's no different than when you mic up a player for Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football or whatever, and you catch them swearing in between plays. It's going to happen. Not everyone out there believes in the same set of morals as the puritanical people who are sitting at home, pen and paper in hand, or excuse me, nowadays, sitting at their fucking computer, fingers on their keyboard, waiting to go and let their Twitter fingers fly and be offended for everybody. Okay? Those people are fucking morons, dude. Most people understand these are adults. Adults get pissed off. Adults they're going to use language that is not acceptable to use sitting in a boardroom. But then if you go talking like and acting like you're in a boardroom on a football field, you ain't going to last long either. I mean, it's just, can we get over this? I mean, I kind of agree with Chris. I don't know how this is a story except for he took a fucking swipe at the press with the whole plantation thing and master thing, basically saying that they're at the whim of the press and how the press wants to spin the subject, and the press went out and did exactly what the fuck he said they were going to do. He goaded them into it, and they did it. It's a non-story. It's the press basically making a story because they got pissed off because the guy called them on their bullshit.
Well,
yeah, like when I saw this story, all I saw pretty much was black guy says N-word. I'm like, this is not a story. It's just as much of a non-story as Ezekiel Elliott fucking pulling somebody's shirt up at Mardi Gras. Like, I saw Ezekiel Elliott does what people do at Mardi Gras. How is this a story? Just because you know who he is? It's probably the same thing with Andre Iguodala. Because you know who he is. That's why it's a story. It's 24-hour news cycle. People need shit to talk about. You know who he is. Game on.
Okay. I was just saying, I don't think that kid would have used that word while he was playing with that particular person. I don't think he's used it afterwards. It was said in a moment of haste, out of pain, hurt, anger. I don't think that's who that kid was. And I don't think he should have had his college career taken from him for saying it. That's all I'm saying.
And then he didn't have his college career taken. He's got to play his final season somewhere else. He's just not playing for Michigan State anymore. And
I don't think that's right.
Besides the self-control lesson, you could also argue, hey, dumbass, have you not paid attention to the news for like the last 5 years? Don't ever send any, like, even if it's a text message, like, don't be sending out shit that people can prove. I mean, that should also be a lesson he learns as well. You know,
I mean, I know. Yeah, he should have learned his lesson from the fucking Favre dick pics.
Favre dick pics, Johnny Manziel. Who else do we got to bring up?
Yeah, but think about that. The Favre dick pics was even pre-fucking Tiger Woods. That was like,
Favre
2000,
Dick
2007,
was when
2008?
Smartphones were just showing up. Yeah.
I mean, you telling me they haven't learned their fucking lesson in almost a decade now? There's just some dumb fuckers out there, man. There really are.
Anthony Weiner. What's he on? His fourth or fifth time getting caught?
Well, I'll say this, and then I'm pretty much done with the subject. I'm the wrong person to have this conversation with as far as people being outraged at language and stuff, because I personally, I feel that if you allow words to upset you that much, words, not actions, okay, and words that weren't directed at you with any ill intent on top of it to upset you that much, then you're just one of the weakest people on the fucking planet. We need to breed you out of the fucking gene pool.
All right, there, Rich. I am in the words have the power you assign to them club.
Okay, there's a reason. There's a reason why certain people are looked at in certain lights because if, like, we talked about the story about the MSU football player, and I thought he was black, and I thought his girlfriend was white, and I thought his roommate and his teammate, you know what I'm saying? I had the races mixed up, and I was like, I don't see what the big deal is. And it was like, no, excuse me. I thought his girlfriend was black, and he was calling her that. And, you know, his white teammate had sex with his black girlfriend. And they were like, no, you got the races all mixed up. Then when I finally figured it out, I'm like, okay, so the guy said something in the heat of the moment. Was it stupid? Yeah. But I mean, I've been in relationships. I've had women say some of the fucking most foul shit in the world to me. Difference is that it wasn't on some sort of format where I could hold on to it and throw it to the press and go, see, look at what a bitch she's capable of being. I mean, that's a personal issue. That's an issue between three people. It's an issue between two teammates and one of those teammates' girlfriends. And really, it should never have been in the fucking public eye in the first place. All right, this isn't the Jerry Sandusky shit. This is not something that it's going to go to court. Okay, it was a personal issue between three people. I would even go so far as to say it's really none of the team's fucking business. But the minute he left a paper trail, for lack of a better term, a digital trail, and it could be brought to the light like that, and held up as an example of like, oh, this is so horrible, he was fucked. All right? He was fucked. And we had this conversation. If he'd have just beat the guy's ass, which is much worse than calling him a word, people would go, well, guy got what he deserved. He got his ass beat fucking his girlfriend. But somehow we've gotten to the point in society where a word used that causes you no harm physically is worse than physically attacking somebody.
Because it's salacious for the media, because it's a hot button topic right now, because we can put it out there and it'll get eyeballs and it'll get clicks, and people like us will fucking talk about it.
And forgive me for sounding like a little bit of an
problem.
Forgive me for sounding like an SJW a little bit on this. This is where I kind of agree with some of the people and some of the sentiment I hear come from that group of people. This is also because if it's two jocks, one jock fucked his teammate's girlfriend. If the two jocks beat the shit out of each other over it, well, that's what dumb jocks do. Okay, that's jock culture. That's what they do. Okay, well, guess what? Shit talking and everything else is part of jock culture too. So you want to police part of the culture, and you just want to fucking go, that's part of the, that's what they do. They beat the shit out of each other. They get into fights all the time. Okay, well, the hypocrisy. I'm sorry, and I get where you're coming from, Earl. But the problem is that we bathe in hypocrisy. We wallow in it. Like we. It used to be, the old saying was truth is like rain. It don't give a fuck who it falls on. Now it's we just pray for hypocrisy to fall from the fucking clouds so we could just drink it up, because that's the way we exist in this culture. We'll know something is right and we'll call it bullshit. We'll go, you're right, but it's bullshit. Well, how can you say, if I'm right, how is that bullshit? Because it is. In other words, because you don't like the fact that it's right. Come on, man. But
yeah, that's definitely been more evident the last year or so. I don't feel that it's right, so it's not right. You could have like books of shit proving what you just said is right. Well, I don't think it's right. I don't feel it's right. Science and facts are backing me up. It's not right. I don't feel it is.
I mean, ultimately, all you can do in this life when it comes to shit like this is the people who know you best, all you can do is hope that they understand where you're coming from and you've made yourself clear. Because people who don't know you, people who tune into this episode and have never heard an episode before and they hear what's being said are going to walk away with an idea of how we are completely as human beings based on a 2-hour conversation. All right? I can't sum anybody up from a 2-hour conversation. Not completely. But this is the hazards of doing this, putting ourselves out here like this, and Earl, I understand what you're saying. And believe me, I've heard people of all races say the same thing. It's ridiculous, these double standards. The problem is the people that are saying that aren't the ones they're putting on TV. They're not views that people in media are clamoring to put out there and be seen. Because they're not the views that sell. They're not pandering to the people that they want to sell shit to, who's in their demographic. Which, if you really want to get into, is just another way of dividing people up by race, gender, income, religion, etc. So the same media that sells you this kumbaya, we all hold hands, we're all the same and equal bullshit, also know how to divide us up and sell us products based on those fucking the different groups they decide to put us in. So just stop and think about that.
Yeah, the same media that decries profiling is profiling the fuck out of you when it comes time to sell ad time.
Exactly.
And Earl, I want you to know, like, I know it doesn't sound like it. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just coming from the point of, like, that's great, dude, but that is not the world we live in anymore, unfortunately. Like,
no.
One thing I've learned doing these podcasts for the last 3 years, there is no consistency, and nobody cares about fair. Like, that's just the world we're in now. Like, everyone says they want fair, but when it comes down to it, when you look back to what Rich is talking about, when you look at actions, people say they want fair, they don't want fair, because that's not what their actions dictate.
Yeah, and Rich also made the point that if people don't agree with you, then they, it doesn't matter what proof you have or what you say, they're just going to be like, no, that's bullshit. No, it's the truth. And that's all I wanted to say here was the truth. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. That kid should not have had to leave MSU. But I digress. Moving on.
And I wanted to say it on Unregimented last week, and I didn't get to it. I guess I'll say it on this one because it pertains to what we're talking about. Can we stop apologizing? I mean, I know Bill Maher did a rant similar to this, but I just mean in general, why can't anybody just stand up there, whether they're in sports or anything else, and go, yeah, this is what I said. It's not what I meant. If you were upset by it, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. But, I mean, I guess they're still apologizing, but why is everyone such a puss? Why can't anyone just stand up there and be like, this is what I said, sorry you feel that way, and move on? Like, no one has any balls anymore when it comes to that. Instead of going, yeah, I said it, if you don't like it, tough shit, you just get all these forced apologies every single fucking day about something.
Well, who's
98% of the shit that's apologized for doesn't need to be apologized for.
Well, that's just it. That was my little rant. I said that, and then you said, well, you're going to have a long life. Well,
no, you said you were going to go around saying whatever the fuck you wanted to anybody.
Exactly. That's exactly what you're asking. Why do I have to apologize for what I say?
Well, because tact and decorum come into play in certain situations, Earl.
I'm just saying, if you don't like what I say, get away from me. I am who I am. I'm not out to hurt people's feelings. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not racist by any stretch of anybody's imagination. I'm a guy that just likes to have fun and enjoy life. And if some things that I say get you bent, come to me. We could talk about it. If I meant it, I'll tell you I meant it. And sorry that it hurt your feelings. If I didn't mean it, hey, my bad. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Otherwise, go, eat a bowl of fuck for all I care.
Earl, if there's one thing I've learned doing these shows for coming up on a year on this show and almost 3 years with Unregimented is there's somebody out there right now who the minute you opened your mouth, before you even got out more than the first 2 words, decided you were racist, decided you were sexist, decided you were whatever the fuck. Okay? It's just the way it is, man.
Oh, absolutely. I run into those people every day. So do you. My point is I am that guy that Chris is talking about. I make no apologies for it. If your opinion of me is that I'm racist or sexist or what have you, then that's just, your opinion, and you're fucking entitled to it. I'm not. I know I'm not. But I make no exception or apologies for who I am. I am who I am.
The only thing you can do is look in the mirror and say, I know exactly what's in my heart. And the only other thing you can do is look around, hope that you're surrounded by people who know you for who you are. Okay? That's all you can do. Because, and Chris, to answer your question about the apology thing, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And sadly, it's just because it's shoved in our face so much anymore, to where, like you said, everything has to. The minute an athlete says something that even one person gets upset about on Twitter or on social media of some sort, it seems like there's quote unquote demand for an apology coming from people. No, it's really a few people who are really loud. Is that what? And in today's society, if you piss off a 0.0 percentage point of the fucking people on social media, someone's in that athlete's ear going, "You're watching them bags of money fly away. You better keep it as vanilla as possible. You better go out there and say an apology." Because who was the last person in sports who really just didn't give a fuck, came out and never apologized for anything he said? And that was a superstar. Closest I can come is Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley would come out and say whatever the fuck was on his mind and never apologized for it once, as far as I know.
Well, the argument could be made about Colin Kaepernick.
He's all right. But I guess but the problem is we've talked about it. I mean, we're getting into the well-worn carpet area here, but half the time these apologies in sports, you're apologizing to people who aren't sports fans. Like, I would tell people to get fucked. Like, if anyone who actually, pays money to come see me is upset with this, I'm sorry. But if you're just sitting around on the internet waiting for somebody in the celebrity sphere, whether it's sports or music or anything, to say something fucked up so you can get pissed off about it, go fuck yourself. But
we do a sports show. And in just the world of sports, we all have to understand this. We have to know this if we don't already. And I'm talking about us three. And actually people listening, it'd help if you understood this too. And some of you listening, I'm going to be talking exactly about you. There are people out there who go to work, who do an excellent job, who make a good living, who contribute to society through their job, who come home, and they have no life. They go to work and they come home. And with the internet, it's allowed them the illusion of having a life because they can read all these articles and they can get be barraged with constant information about sports. And when they find something they don't like, they can start a little crusade about it. And what you described, Chris, is people just sitting, waiting for someone to fuck up, waiting for someone to be misquoted, something taken out of context, so they can be outraged. There are people who do that. And that is the people that are driving our culture right now. And for the rest of us, the only way I see to stop it is to start ignoring these people. It's just going, "That's nice. Now go play." Like you would a little kid who just came and told you that, aliens landed in the backyard and took him up and zoomed him around the entire universe in the last 5 minutes. "That's nice, Mikey. Go outside and play."
What do you say, Rich? Shut up. Adults are talking.
Pretty much. If your kid comes in and tells you something like that, you just pat him on the head, you send him outside to play, and then you call and you get the CAT scan set up for him to make sure he's not a wet brain retard on Monday morning. All right? That's what you do. And that's what we got to do with these fucking people. Because this isn't a majority. This isn't people who have any moral high ground. None whatsoever. Because if you really look at these people, they will abandon one set of principles they were defending today, tomorrow, just to be right. Because that's what it's about. It's about winning arguments, being right. It's not
even about being right. It's about thinking you're right.
Exactly. It's not about doing the right thing. It's just like you said, people talk about, fair, fair, fair. Everyone wants everything to be fair for them. They don't care if it's fair for anybody else. Not everyone, but a lot of these people
it's not what
are
fair
like that.
means.
Exactly. Okay. The minute you say it doesn't, minute you say how you treat people how you would like to be treated doesn't matter for group X, for reason Y, but it applies to the rest of us. And then you just lost the right to ever use the word fair, because you're not being fair. There's no such thing as someone is more equal than another group, or someone is less equal than another group. We tried that shit at one point in this country, okay? They tried that shit in other countries around the fucking world. In the end, it doesn't work. So it's a frustrating topic, because I understand where you're coming from, Earl, but at the same time, it's a no-win situation for you, man. And I mean, God knows I've stuck my fucking nose into the boxing ring and got it broke a few times on no-win situations on these podcasts. And on this one, you're just going to have to do it on your own, dude. I'm not willing to get my fucking jaw reset over this fucking subject. Sorry. I've like I said, I've already had a broken nose over this subject before. I'm just not doing it this time. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and the pointing out hypocrisy and the ridiculousness of the situation, I agree with. But I mean, there's a point, dude, where you're pissing into the wind. So unless you like piss all over yourself and you consider that winning, you haven't really done anything. So, all right. Anyways, before we got to go, free fucking agency. What the fuck is going on in the NFL?
Yeah. I said it in chat. Earl, this is your day of reckoning for what the fuckins has come, because we can definitely apply it to NFL free agency. Holy shit. Dude, if I was in Chicago, I mean, I'd already have my cyanide pills on the order from the internet. I mean, I'd be in the middle of my background check to get my gun. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Are they signing Mike Glennon as a backup? Is he supposed to be the guy that replaces Jay Cutler?
He's their starter.
Wow.
They're giving him, what is it, $14.5 per year.
Yeah, $45 million.
But basically, if after one season they decide they're done with him, they can cut him loose, and they only end up paying him 19 of that 45. So because of that reason, there's people saying that this is a good deal. Let me tell you something. As a Bucks fan who watched Shaggy out there playing fucking quarterback for his team, I don't see where anybody got the idea Mike Glennon's a starter. I really don't. He never showed me anything. I mean, they must be real confident in their run game that they can just have a subpar game manager behind or under center, and that run game is going to carry them. That's the only thing I can think of.
But Earl, you say it's Chicago. You're talking about a team who has been the only team to win the NFC North for like the last decade, and who's got a Super Bowl appearance in the last decade. They've got two in my lifetime. I mean, it's just Chicago Sports Talk Radio this week has had to be amazing. Like, just because, like, I'm not even, I root for a rival team in the division, and I'm going, the fuck are you doing over there?
You forgetting about
sales of old style got to be up, because people got to be drinking way more.
Yeah, dude, you are forgetting about Green Bay. Green Bay's had fucking Super Bowl appearances and have won the NFC North in the last decade.
No, I know, but Earl said, he's like, well, it's but Earl, I was just speaking to Earl, talk about, well, it's Chicago. Like, he was being rather dismissive of Chicago.
Yeah, I know, and it's the Detroit, dude, Earl,
because
you're a Detroit homer.
Chicago.
Okay, you say Chicago, like the rest of the country says, it's Detroit. It's the Lions. So that's just a homer in them. So you're never going to get that out of them. I mean, that's staying set for life, bro.
Ever. I'll say the N-word and anything else you want. I ain't talking about Chicago. Just saying.
All right. Well, I mean, I think we said all we said about Chicago. Good luck with that, Bears fans. Talk to me in October. See how that's all working out. But what happened today? Eddie Lacy goes to Seattle.
Running back by committee, because Charles is supposed to be going there too.
Wah wah. Speaking of the wheels coming off, does it seem like it's starting to happen in Seattle?
Yeah, everybody's moving out, quitting, retiring, getting hurt.
It just seems like there were better running backs on the table than Eddie Lacy. I mean, especially for Seattle.
You think?
So are you saying Seattle's window is closed now officially?
Well, it seems like they're giving up. Like Eddie Lacy, like is the GM in Seattle getting too much into the recreational? Like
to me, it just sounds like
fix the Marshawn Lynch-sized hole in your run game. No,
it sounds like he's on the cliff and just pulling at straws, trying to get back up, and he's failing miserably.
Anyone who's thinking about Jamal Charles, I can't disagree with you there. I mean, he's been your hometown running back since what, 2010? How many full seasons has he played for you?
Been Kansas City. He ain't been my hometown running back.
Kansas City. God damn it. What's your closest? Do you root for the Rams or do you root for the Chiefs?
I root for the Lions. Oh, thank you.
Okay, hold up.
During the bye week, what game are you
Time
watching?
out. I'm sorry,
Chiefs.
bro. Hey, Earl, Mike Clark, you can't be eating on the mic like that, dude. That sounds like shit. Sounds like you got a cock in your mouth. Seriously, fucking hurry up and finish, and then we'll carry on. But I can't do a half hour with you. I can't do it.
All right, there. You feel better?
I mean, once or twice, but I'm like, dude, this has been 5 minutes now. I've been listening to you fucking eating, dude. Come on. All right. Party on. Game on.
Yeah. No, Kansas City is for Wichita, Kansas. But, yeah. I like Detroit. I root for Detroit. I go to bars that air the Detroit game. That's what I do.
Thanks for shitting on my point about Jamal Charles. Well, okay, the man is not durable. So, Seattle, yikes.
Yeah, but guys, okay, but I understand that the free agency is an exciting time in the NFL because players who have maybe played their entire career, you've never seen them in another pro uniform, they're moving to other teams, and it's exciting. It's like, oh, shit, and there's all the possibilities that come with it. But hasn't the NFL, more than any other league, proven that you really don't build Super Bowl winners with a core of free agents? You do it through the draft?
There's a Boston-based team that's been proving that.
I mean, because free agency is supposed to be like the gravy on the mashed potatoes, correct? It's not supposed to be the meat of the or even the potatoes of the dinner. It's supposed to be just like to complement what is already on the plate. So when I see teams start making a ton of signings in free agency for key positions, to me it just reeks of desperation.
Yes, to continue your food metaphor, Rich, it should be the sizzle on the steak. The steak should come from the draft. But it's, what do you think that the guys at the Lions are doing? Like, I don't hate any of those moves.
You know what? That scares me real quick, Chris. That really does scare me because they're making sense right now, and it's like, what the hell?
Like, I'm not in love with the moves, but I don't hate them. Like, I saw them and went, all right, we'll see. You know, it wasn't like last year when they signed Marvin Jones, and I'm like, really? This is your solution to Calvin Johnson? The second-string guy from the Bengals? Okay. But, yeah, the moves I've seen, I'm not hating them. So
I'm loving TJ Lang.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna tell you what, that is not an under the radar signing here. He did almost an hour on our biggest sports talk station here. I mean, right during afternoon drive. That is not by accident. They didn't put him on no fucking 10 to 2 afternoon. Late morning or something, or they didn't put him on like, at 9 o'clock at night on Lions Talk. They put his ass on during a prime spot for an hour with the number one show in the market on that slot, in a time slot. So, and he said all the right things from everything I heard. So I don't know, man. That if he's as good a player as he is, if he plays as well as he sold himself, the Lions picked up something decent there, which I know flies in the face of everything I just said about free agency, but
Which team did Quinn build for New England as far as the titles? Do we know?
It has to be the mid 2000s teams, dude, because they didn't win a title until they had the 2 Super Bowl losses against the Giants. They didn't win one until the whole why the fuck didn't they run it with beast mode Super Bowl. I mean, they hadn't won one since what? 2004 season?
Correct.
So
did he build all the teams that missed the Super Bowl, or did he build the team did he build the David Tyree team?
It has to be. He's not that old of a guy. I mean, I don't know. To be honest with you, I didn't even know who the fuck he was till he came to the Lions. He wasn't the guy in New England. He was just from the tree of the guys that put together those teams. And in fact, one of the criticisms of hiring him as the GM was, here we go, we hired a GM who proved that he can build a team to get you to the playoffs, but he never won anything. So why are we not hiring GMs who have proven fucking, Super Bowl winning records?
Well, the reason's on the side of the helmet.
And also, if you have a Super Bowl winning record, you're pretty much going to stay where you want to stay until you're no longer welcome. Those guys aren't just floating around every year in the offseason. So, I mean, I don't know. Oh, God. We're at that time of year, Chris. We're in Detroit. Early. You remember it, you have to. Boy, everybody's excited. 16-0 Super Bowl, here we come. And it's just like...
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's mid-March, beginning of April. The disappointment of last season is starting to fade away, and optimism is starting to fade in because the draft is coming. We've had the combine. We're making moves. Free agency started. Generally it's the time of year where the first batch of Honolulu blue and silver butter is usually made.
Well, it ain't going nowhere, dude. Ain't going nowhere. I mean, once again, very well worn carpet. This is a football town. Hockey town all you want. In reality, it's football town. If they ever won a Super Bowl, this town would explode, along with the suburbs.
Yeah, the rest that didn't burn down 50 years ago would burn down, and then we'd burn down the stuff from 50 years ago again.
Now, another signing I want to ask you guys about, because I got the impression from the group chat when we were talking about it that you guys were like, that was a dumb signing. Was the Deshaun Jackson to the Bucs signing?
Yeah.
Okay, so
this ain't 2010, son. At best, you signed yourself a third or fourth receiver.
Oh, there's a couple like that. There's that one. There's Garcon to 49ers as well. Same thing.
Retire, right? For love of God.
Okay, well here's the thing that I'm going to throw out there that the Bucs have thrown out to their fucking fans and the media in Tampa. The whole signing to him wasn't to have a number one receiver. They got their number one receiver. Right? The whole signing for him was that they wanted him as a deep threat because if you look at the stats, he gets, of all the free agents that were available, on balls thrown deep, he gets the best separation of all the wide receiver free agents that were available this year. And they feel that that's what Winston has been missing is the deep ball threat. That's basically the only reason I've heard that they signed him. Now, I don't know if that's too much of a stat nerd thing or, if that's some sort of metric stat, but I mean, if that's the case and he can provide that for him and he does what they say he did, I don't see how it's that bad of a signing.
He's not who he was when he was on the Eagles, man. And it seems like he had lightning in a bottle there for a couple seasons. and then he's just kind of gone into the realm of average. Sure, he'll he'll make a deep play for you every once in a while, but he doesn't seem like I'm not impressed, and I don't even root for Tampa. Yeah, it just seems like it's just going to be another team for him. That's to give him another paycheck from the NFL. Well, he's on his way out, but I could be wrong. Half-assed opinions, right? Now, you talk about the deep threat. I think this signing has been very under talked about. Brandon Cooks to the Pats, man. Like, I think that's going to be the best signing of free agency this year when everything shakes out next season.
I don't think that's been under talked about, considering that pretty much all the sites that I follow just said that when they signed Cooks, that you might as well just hand the AFC over to the Pats. No need to even play the games.
Yeah, I mean, that's just because I was an owner of him last year. But I mean, he was one of the lone bright spots on the New Orleans offense last year. Like, that guy, pretty much every game, with the exception of the fucking zero he hung up on me, he went deep every game. Every game. And he's not just – no, he's not a one-trick pony either. Don't get me wrong. He could catch the short ball too, but he's just good at getting separation and just getting off to the races. Like, that to me is pretty huge.
I disagree with you. I think Tom Brady can't throw it that far anymore.
Okay.
Oh, so you're not even putting this on you're not even putting this on him. You're putting it on Brady. You think it's a waste because of Brady?
But really, Earl, you're doing this. You're doing to Brady what you're doing with LeBron. Like, you're
oh hell
you're
no,
telling,
not even close.
No, hold on. You're telling me someone who's coming off of a championship season is losing a step. Like, let's have Brady miss the playoffs. Let's have Brady make a few shitty throws. Let's have Tom Brady actually show he's mortal for a season. Then I'll start buying you can't throw that far anymore. The man just became the GOAT. He got 5 rings.
But he didn't do it by going 30, 40 yards down the field at one chunk, bro.
But who could he have? The only person he had that could catch like that is Edelman. And you need more than one. You need more than one deep threat. You need more than a deep threat.
Okay, I'm just saying, I don't think he has the arm to go 30, 40, 45 yards down the field. A deep, quote, deep threat. If you want to talk about a deep threat, talk about the signing of Alshon Jeffries on Philadelphia. Because Carson Wentz is young as fuck. Yes, that happened.
Wow. Man, if I was in Chicago, my cyanide pills would be on order. Jesus Christ, that's the best part of your offense other than Jordan Howard. You let him get away?
Used to be.
Wow. Like, they've just said fuck it in Chicago, huh? Wow, that's crazy.
Now, to me, that's going to be a true deep threat. You have a young quarterback throwing to a very talented, very quick, deep threat receiver. I see big gains going there.
But you know what?
But then they also,
I don't disagree with you on that one.
Eagles also do a what the fuckins and sign Nick Foles. What?
Because they need a backup. He was good to Philly. Philly was good to him. I mean, that's what that was. I mean, he kept the plane from crashing into the mountain when Michael Vick got hurt. I mean, I got no problem with that. That's just Foles, I think Foles knows his role at this point. Whatever, man. We're getting an NFL paycheck. And 2, he's familiar with the offense. So in case Carson Wentz shits the bed, because, the sophomore slump is a thing, then they at least have someone who knows the offense, and they can go from there.
Yeah, this whole offseason with free agency is sick. Robbie Gould went to the 49ers, I think.
Really? Kickers, man? Come on, man. There's better things to talk about.
No, he's a hell of a kicker, though. Not like the one in Tampa Bay.
Jason Hanson Jr.? Yeah.
we could be talking about, too, how both the free agency market hadn't been as great for AP and Tony Romo as they thought.
I do want to point out that ESPN did it again with their storyline. Now Kirk Cousins never asked about a trade. He just asked what was the potential for a trade. Are they seriously looking at him because he got the franchise put on?
I saw that, and I also saw how, according to ESPN, Romo was going to be cut to the point where I know that I wasn't the only one that saw it, because there is a Facebook site called NFL Memes, and they put out a nod to Of Mice and Men. They had a picture of Jerry Jones holding a gun saying, "Just look at the flowers, Tony," and Tony Romo looking at the ground. All right. And they quoted that story directly. All right. So ESPN, you're slipping. I don't know what the fuck's going on over there, but get your shit together. Seriously.
Worry about being right, not first, like you're supposed to in journalism.
And on top of that, go back to reporting sports news and stop trying to be a sports and lifestyle station. That's the fucking problem here. See, a little mini rant real quick. This is what happens when a once respected sports organization starts getting rid of the people who actually know sports for people who they figure are going to bring in a new audience to them because they might look like them, share the same genitalia, whatever the fuck. All right. Basically, when you have an agenda-driven situation, the agenda is going to win out and your facts are going to suffer. And the fact that this is now the third week that we're sitting here talking about ESPN having reported stories that they don't even bother doing retractions anymore. They just put out the news story and act like they never said the first story in the first place. That blows my mind, guys. And
well, this is the same network that published their aired their retraction on Deflategate at 2 a.m. on a Monday. So I think we can consider the source here, gentlemen. It's just to the point where we're getting with ESPN, because this is not the ESPN I grew up with. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know if it's the millennials getting into the workforce, getting into the sports media. I don't know. But lately, yeah.
Well, it's okay. Look,
ESPN.
You have a very hectic time in the NFL. The year-round NFL entertainment. Let's call it what it is. And free agency, of course, there's always going to be rumors and hints and allegations and all this shit. But to not even care if you're getting these stories right, which is the kind of the vibe I'm starting to get, and not even care enough to print retractions, that's an issue when you are the go-to organization most people get their sports info from. And if you can't trust ESPN to be A, factual, B, responsible, and 3, ethical, then who the fuck do you go to? Fox Sports?
All right.
Yahoo?
If I was in the studio right now, I'd be playing Trump calling fake news. Because ESPN, it's not even fake. You are just too preemptive a thing. Is it now a sin to maybe wait a couple hours till you get all the facts and then write the article, then go live? Apparently,
it seems like whoever's making the calls, whatever producers are making the calls at the time, or webmasters are making the calls to publish these stories at the time, learned nothing from the 2000 election. If they'd worked back in 2000, it'd have been 5 p.m. They'd have been calling it for Gore. Because this is just the polls. To put it in make a comparison here. The polls aren't even closed yet, and they're already, calling the election, which is a lot of what they're doing here. The Kirk Cousins story is being one, the Garoppolo story being another. The story with Tony Romo, Adrian Peterson. Arguably Romo is the biggest offseason free agent move as far as story goes out of everything at the moment. Obviously, the Cook signing might turn out to be a bigger story later on down the road. But right now, even the most casual sports fan knows who Tony Romo is, and it has at least a little bit of interest in where he's going. And you're going to go out there and report something that is complete bullshit and then never even say, oops, we jumped the gun. Sorry, our bad. This is not the time to be fucking up. It really isn't.
Well, I mean, if they sat there and tried to tell everybody how much they fucked up, I mean, they would spend a whole sports center sitting there going, and this was wrong, and we're sorry about this one, and this was, and
well,
I don't know what the fuck
before you
thinking.
put it on the air.
Okay, and I'll even take it farther because Chris, you're gonna. I understand that's how you are about like stuff like this, like with bands and stuff. You're like, oh, if your singer's out of key, you should have practiced more. Okay, look, shit's going to happen. Anchors are going to misspeak. Anchors are going to put the wrong first name with the wrong last name. Shit like that. I don't need, some sort of Opus Dei self-flagellation on air for. Okay, but when you fuck up on major stories, yeah, it's your job. It is part of the ethics of journalism to come out and go, whoops, we jumped the gun. Either it's like Chris said, we wanted to be first, and we were more concerned about that than being accurate, or B, we have a bum source, or C, and they have another reason. I'm not seeing any of that, and that's an issue.
Yeah, it's their investigative reporting has definitely gone downhill.
You know what the scary part about C is, Rich? C is possibly, we don't give a fuck. We're ESPN.
Where else are you going to go?
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's real bad. It gets to the point where it's like, in other news, Eli Manning was arrested for shooting somebody, and it's like the next day, oh, he wasn't shooting at somebody, he was playing with a toy gun, and they thought it was real, and hello?
We meant shooting with a camera.
He was a peeping Tom. He didn't actually kill anybody.
All right, guys, we're up against it here. So real quick, let's go around the horn. Who's your Final Four? I'll start because I have the app open.
Oh Christ! We're doing this. Oh, we're doing this next week.
Let's say our Final Four before any games happen because the games, the first round, start this weekend. So I think we at least want our Final Four out there before games happen, so we don't have any appearance of impropriety.
Wait a minute! I picked my. Go ahead. I don't even. Hold on. Just go ahead.
I love my name for the bracket.
Yeah, we'll see. That means you have to have 100% bracket, Mister. I gotta be correct about everything.
The ICEman calleth bracket.
we're just going with our Final Four. We're not going with our national championship pick.
Yeah, no, we're just gonna do Final Four.
Okay.
Just so that they said the games eliminations start by the next show. So just want to get our Final Fours out to everyone so they know we're not bullshitting when we start talking about our brackets next week.
Okay.
I have Duke, Gonzaga, Kansas, and USC. Like I said, 3 number ones and number 2. So my stuff's all in the earlier rounds. That's where all my upsets are. But I tell you guys, when I pick winners and I pick Final Four, man, I go with fucking legacy. Like, who is traditionally good.
You said Chris. USC or UCLA?
UNC.
North Carolina.
North Carolina, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you said USC. I was going to say,
You did.
Did you say football, motherfucker? Well, then I misspoke. UNC.
Okay, who you got, Earl?
I got the exact same 4.
I guess I'm the odd man out. I got Duke coming out of the East. I got Gonzaga coming out of the West. I have Kansas coming out of the Midwest, and I have University of Kentucky coming out of the South.
Ooh, see, I hovered over Kentucky, man. I hovered over Kentucky. So, well, it's funny, though, the three of us, we have 3 out of the same Final Four. So this will be interesting.
In which case, I think Rich has Kentucky beating North Carolina in the South.
He does.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I had them playing each other to get to that game, and I hovered over Kentucky for a minute. But, okay. So, there you go, people. There's a Final Four. So, next week, when our brackets are all completely busted, we at least have this on tape that, we picked when we were supposed to pick. So thanks to everybody who's been listening, who's been downloading. Welcome to all the new listeners. We have a bigger audience than we thought. So, hey, thanks for listening. This month, again, a broken record, but this is a good broken record. It seems to be better than the month before it. So you're liking it, you're sharing it, you're telling people, and you're keeping listening, which is what we care about. At Sporgy Podcast on Twitter. We're at Sporgy_podcast on Instagram. You can download the show at ChristopherMedia.net. We are on iTunes, we're on Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere you can get a podcast. Don't forget about our streaming station. Just go to ChristopherMedia.com. The most current, I think that was a double something there, but the three most current episodes uploaded to the Christopher Media feed are on the streaming station. So if you're in a situation where you need audio to keep going, maybe you can't be hitting start and stop and selecting things to play, you just go to ChristopherMedia.net, hit the play button on the streaming station there, and you can listen to us. All that being said, thanks for listening, guys, and we will catch you next week.
All right, later, guys.
Peace out, yeah.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook by searching for Christopher Media. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Hey, what do you want to da-da-da? I don't know. What do y'all think we should da-da-da? Well, what did we da yesterday? Yesterday. All the dolls feel like the same doll these days. I know. Like, is today Monday or Tuesday? Today is Thursday. Oh, no, I forgot to call my mom on her birthday. Oh, no.
These days, nothing is normal and everything is weird. But you could still save big when you switch to Progressive. That won't change. Not today or any day.
Quote today at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Nerds! NerdWallet presents Money Questions, the lightning round. Here we go, Carol. How can people compare the best credit cards?
Turn to the nerds.
Should you pay off debt or save for retirement?
Turn to the nerds.
One more. Should I listen to my father-in-law's advice on mortgage lenders?
Turn to the nerds.
You win!
Woo!
Confetti is literally falling from the sky!
I'm gonna put my winnings in a 2-year CD.
That would be prudent, Carol.
From helpful tools to expert guidance, for all your money questions, turn to the nerds at nerdwallet.com. NMLS ID number 1617539.